Escobar to take a shot at Hargrove's O's as Baltimore's frustration grows. And in the midst of Isabel, is this game played? Only time will tell.
Rogers, Jays on Sportsnet.
Somewhere beneath the wall in right field at Camden Yards rests the barbecue pit of Boo Powell. Will the game be played tonight? We certainly hope so. It's the Jays and Orioles in the first of three from beautiful Baltimore. Good evening and welcome, everybody. I'm Jamie Campbell. I was going to say Clamble, but I'm thinking Chowder along the lines of Baltimore. Glad to have you aboard for tonight's broadcast. Rob Faulds and John Cerruti are standing by. We'll get to them very shortly. First, some fantastic news to tell you about, particularly if you are a fan of the Montreal Expos. The players have weighed in and decided that they will play their entire home schedule, 81 games, next year at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. There was discussion earlier today about the possibility of splitting the schedule, going either to Monterrey, Mexico or San Juan, Puerto Rico. The players said no. They felt they would have a much better chance of perhaps contesting a playoff spot if they were to stay in Montreal and play their home games there. So that is the news coming from the players in Montreal as of today, and that is good news for those who like Major League Baseball in Canada. Big news for those of you in British Columbia involving Jason Bay of the Pittsburgh Pirates. We will get to that very shortly. The Pirates are currently contesting the Chicago Cubs. Bay is having a career game, but for now we want to take you to Camden Yards in Baltimore and check in with our broadcast team, John Cerruti and Rob Faulds. Gentlemen.
Isabel has pushed north. They're getting ready to play some baseball in Baltimore, Maryland. The first of three games between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Baltimore Orioles. Hi, everybody. Alongside John Cerruti, I'm Rob Faulds. We've had our slickers on for most of the day, but we're ready to remove them and get a little baseball in, and the Blue Jays are very happy to be in Baltimore. They're riding a hot streak right now.
Yeah, they are. They stayed in Detroit last night, flew in this afternoon, did not take batting practice, but they are feeling very good about themselves. They've won 12 of the first 16 games they've played here in the month of September.
Well, Baltimore has not had much fun over the last 24 to 48 hours as Isabel pushed through. You see the flooding. That was the way John and I got to the ballpark this afternoon. Trees uprooted as they still try to recover from hurricane, now tropical storm, Isabel. For the Blue Jays this season, they have really, well, they played Baltimore a little tougher than I think they had thought. They'd come in the last couple of years owning the Orioles, but the Orioles played them very well.
Well, the Blue Jays got off to a good start against the Orioles earlier this year, but the mid-season, the second time they played them, the Orioles swung the bats very well and scored a lot of runs. But on the season, the Blue Jays have won 9 of the 16 meetings. You see they've out-hit them, out-homered them, and outscore them, but the way they're playing, they're looking to take 2 or 3 or possibly 3 here in this weekend series.
And with the way that the Blue Jays have been playing of late, Carlos was glad the weather didn't interrupt their trip to Camden Yards.
We've been playing good. We had a real good series in Detroit where we swung the bats real well. We played good defense. Doc pitched a tremendous game again, and you know, it's not a situation where you want a rain to get involved or you want to have to play a doubleheader tomorrow if we get rained out today. So it looks like we're going to be able to get this game in. That'll be good for us.
And it looks like they'll get Kelvin Escobar, who has pitched so very well on the road and against the Orioles on the hill. So this could be a good sign for the Blue Jays as they begin this series. Escobar trying to improve to 12-9, facing Omar Dahl, the left-hander.
Yeah, Omar Dahl back in the rotation after spending a lot of time on the disabled list. In fact, his last start was against the Blue Jays at Skydome back in June, and he got pounded by Toronto. Escobar looking for win number 12. He beat the Orioles 6 days ago at Skydome.
Isabel has pushed through, but love is in the air here at the ballpark. Somebody's getting married. John and I have to leave. We've got to buy them a gift. The ball game's next.
Rogers, Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Bud Light. This calls for a Bud Light.
Cloudy skies in Baltimore, Maryland, but the forecast looks good for baseball. Camden Yards, the home of the Baltimore Orioles. The Jays are in for 3. They've won 3 in a row, coming out of Detroit with a sweep of the Tigers. Jays are now 6 games over 500. They'll go with Reed Johnson leading off and playing in left field. He's got a 15-game hitting streak. Mike Bordick's at short. Vernon Wells in center field. Carlos Delgado will be the designated hitter tonight. Josh Phelps will do the work at first and will bat fifth. In right field, Bobby Kelty. Eric Hinsky is at third. Dave Berg's the second baseman, and Kevin Cash behind the plate. The Blue Jays are facing Omar Dahl, making his 16th start and 18th appearance of the season.
Came over as a free agent in the offseason, signed a 2-year contract with Baltimore. 4-10 record, high ERA, and look at the number of hits that he's given up in the 88 innings he's worked. He's spent some time on the disabled list. A soft-throwing left-hander that relies on location and changing speeds. And here's the defense for Mike Hargrove and his Baltimore Orioles. In the infield, Tony Batista, the former Blue Jay, is at third. Davy Cruz is at short. Brian Roberts at second. B.J. Surhoff, the veteran, at first base. Brooke Fordyce is the catcher. Bigby, Matos, and Gibbons around the outfield.
75 degrees at game time. There was rain a little earlier, but it has moved out, and it looks like it will be good to go. Dahl looks in to Reed Johnson. Delivers a strike, and this game is underway. Johnson hitting .285, 9 homers, 44 runs batted in, as mentioned, a 15-game hitting streak. Ground ball right at Brian Roberts. Throwing the dirt, Surhoff, therefore 1 away.
Roberts is back in the lineup after an injury kept him out of that lineup a week ago when the Blue Jays saw Baltimore. He played a little bit, did not start in the first game of that series.
And now the former Oriole Mike Bordick steps in. Bordick hitting .278, 4 homers, 50 runs batted in. Pops it up right side, calling for it from Fordyce, and he'll make the play. Very quickly, 2 down.
Fordyce called that ball immediately. Took charge, made the put out. The Blue Jays are going to see a lot of pitches down and away to the right-handed batters. That's where Dahl keeps the ball most of the time. He'll throw a cutter in on the righties to keep them honest, but he relies on that changeup and turning the fastball over.
Here's Vernon Wells hitting .316. 3-game hitting streak. He looks at a ball up high. Vernon had a terrific night last night, adding more to his already impressive total. He now has 203 hits, chasing Tony Fernandez for the franchise lead, and he's going to add another one to begin. A 2-out single by Vernon Wells, hit number 204 and counting.
Beautiful approach right there, looking for the ball out over the plate, not trying to pull that ball, just trying to hit a line drive, bring Delgado to the plate in this inning. Yeah, ball working down and away from him a little bit. Nice compact swing. Generates a lot of power. How about that hit he had, his last hit last night in Detroit, a 3-run home run deep to left field.
Carlos Delgado hitting .298, 35 homers, 128 runs batted in. He was scheduled at first. They made a late change and put him at DH, giving him a chance to rest his knee. Here he fouls the first pitch back.
Carlos is 3 for 5 against Omar Dahl in his career with a couple of RBIs, no home runs. He's enjoyed Orioles pitching this season.
One ball, 1 strike. The curve misses. Carlos has got a 4-game hit streak. 1 for 5 last night. A run scored and a strikeout.
You see Carlos asked for timeout and wasn't granted immediately by the home plate umpire. Then the home plate umpire said, okay.
The 1-1's down low and away. 2 balls and a strike.
Carlos has played well, hit well against the Orioles as you look at the umpiring crew. Angel Hernandez behind home plate. Randy Marsh, the veteran, at first base. Lance Barksdale at second, and Paul Schreiber is at third. I really think Carlos, with a good week and a half to finish the season, is, you know, still right in that MVP voting. As we come down to the final stages of the season, a lot of those individual awards are out there and a lot of good races.
He's faded a little bit in the MVP race, I think, after cooling down in the last 6 weeks. 3-1 count. He went after it. 3-2.
There's the changeup. Bell took something off. That wasn't going to give Delgado the fastball in that situation. And now, as a hitter, you start thinking, well, he threw me a 3-1 changeup. Is he going to throw a 3-2, or is he going to come back with a breaking ball or a fastball? He uses 3 pitches: fastball, curve, and changeup.
2 out, man on first. Here's the 3-2. With Wells on the move, Delgado, a fly ball. Bigby moves in on it and makes the out. Wells gets a hit. That's the top of the first.
Rogers, Jays on Sports.
Bottom of the first inning. Blue Jays managed just 1 hit. Mike Hargrove goes with this order. He'll go with Brian Roberts leading off and playing at second. Jerry Harrison's the DH tonight. Larry Bigby's in left, and right Jake Gibbons. Third base belongs to Tony Batista. B.J. Surhoff at first. Luis Matos in center field. Davy Cruz the shortstop. Brooke Fordyce is the catcher, and they're facing Kelvin Escobar. Escobar kicks and delivers down low. Brian Roberts hitting .279, 5 homers, 39 runs batted in. Escobar deals a strike. For Kelvin, 25th start of the season, 12th on the road, and his 40th appearance overall. Roberts with a fly ball, foul left side.
Kelvin last worked 6 days ago up at Skydome against Baltimore. Had control problems in that ballgame. Walked 6 batters, but went 6 innings and allowed only 1 run. Ended up getting the win. The Blue Jays won 6-1.
Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Roberts went after it, and there's a strikeout for Escobar.
Good fastball right there, low in the zone. Kelvin looking for his 12th win of the year. ERA a respectable 4.44. You see he's pitched close to 170 innings. 2-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. Still, with his stuff, that whip is a little bit high. A few too many base runners. You'd expect that to be a little bit lower.
And a strike now to Jerry Harrison. He's the DH, hitting .274, 2 homers and just 18 runs batted in this season. An injury-plagued year for Harrison. Pops it up. Phelps takes a look, and he won't be able to get to it. 3 rows back. Phelps getting a start at first base, working with Kelvin Escobar on the mound. There's Josh.
He's not strong defensively. He doesn't play there a lot. A few games he has, he's made some errors this year, but he's always said that he still thinks of himself as a fielder.
Fly ball right field. Kelty moves to his left and makes the out.
2 quick outs for Kelvin Escobar. Let's set the defense for Toronto tonight. In the infield, Eric Hinsky is at third base. Mike Bordick, a former Oriole, gets a start at shortstop. Dave Berg at second. Josh Phelps, we talked about, at first base. Kevin Cash behind home plate. In the outfield, Johnson in left, Vernon Wells in center, and Bobby Kelty in right field.
Larry Bigby's hitting .308. Looks at a pitch outside. 8 homers, 27 runs batted in. Left fielder has seen action in 72 games. Now ball 2.
The Orioles have been waiting on Bigby to show the promise they've always expected of him. Had a good year in the minor leagues this year.
Bigby, fly ball, foul.
And since being recalled, he's been playing every day.
And he had a 9-game hitting streak come to an end yesterday in that strange one against the Yankees. He only got 5 innings in. Tied at 1. Stats count. Completed if necessary.
This guy's got a real pretty swing. He's a very natural looking hitter. And starting to show some power. He's hit 8 home runs here this season with the Orioles and a .308 batting average. They've been waiting for him to develop, and they feel that he may have played himself right in the middle of the order for next year.
2-2. Ooh, close pitch for ball 3.
Oh, with a very good fastball. 95 miles an hour. Just missed, I guess, away.
Swiped at it, fouled it back.
Came back with a split-fingered fastball. 10 miles an hour slower with the same arm action. You could see Bigby was lucky just to get a piece of it. He was swinging ahead of that pitch, out in front. Gelvin feels very comfortable in this ballpark. He's pitched well here at Camden Yards in his career.
And here's a ground ball. Dave Berg playing second. And it's a 1-2-3. An inning complete. No score in Baltimore. Top of the second inning. Josh Phelps, Bobby Kelty, and Eric Hinsky to face Omar Dahl. Phelps takes down low. Three-game hitting streak for Phelps. He takes a strike. 1 for 4. His last appearance at Detroit. That was yesterday. RBI. He was hit by a pitch. When he fouls back. Jays are all done on the road after this series in Baltimore. They head back home. Close things out against Tampa and Cleveland. High and outside. Three-two count. One thing about Dahl, John, he works quickly.
He does do that with that unique motion. We saw him on Sunday at Skydome. He pitched 2 innings in relief against Toronto, in relief of Matt Riley.
The 3-2. Phelps drives this. It bounces to Bigby, a base hit to lead off the second for Josh Phelps. Now a 4-game hitting streak.
And Phelps went upstairs and laced that ball in the left field. Here's the scouting report on the left-hander Omar Dahl. Fastball curve and change, as I said. The fastball about 85, 86 miles an hour. A very soft thrower. A very deceptive delivery. He hides the ball well, but he hasn't been that deceptive this year. The opponents are batting .333 against him. He's given up a lot of hits. He doesn't walk that many batters. Can't afford to.
Bobby Kelty steps in. Phelps at first, and he takes a strike.
Blue Jays fans may remember Omar Dahl. He pitched briefly with the Blue Jays back in 1997. Pitched in 9 games, 3 of them starts.
Kelty sends it foul down the left side.
Kelty has had a much better year from that side of the plate, facing left-handed pitchers.
Oh, he's hammering left-handed pitching. He's hitting .358 against lefties.
And when you ask him about facing righties, he says, I've stunk this year. Very blunt.
The 0-2, Kelty. Batista quickly upon it, and they turn the double play.
Tony Batista gets rid of the ball as quickly as any third baseman in the game. It's a real easy play to his left. It comes up, and look at that. Good feed and a quick feed to Brian Roberts, and he turns it over quickly, and they get Kelty for the double play.
2 out. Eric Hinsky, the batter. Sort of an off-speed pitch outside. Off the end of the bat foul. Eric last night was 1 for 5, but happy with the base hit, not so happy with the 4 Ks that came before.
Man, there were some young fans there in Detroit riding him pretty well throughout that game. Felt very good about getting that base hit the last time up.
There's a ground ball sharply hit right at B.J. Surhoff. He'll make the play, and it's just 3 batters who faced Dahl in the second.
Bottom of the second inning here in Baltimore. No score. Here's the scouting report on Kelvin Escobar. 5 above-average pitches. He has great stuff. Throws in the mid-90s with a lot of movement. He likes Baltimore. Got his first win here as a major leaguer.
Must be the crab cakes. First ball hitting, popping it up. Jay Gibbons and Mike Bordick.
Now, needs to bear down on right-handed batters because righties are batting .312 against Escobar this season, where lefties are batting just .239. That doesn't make a lot of sense, to be quite honest with you. A lot has to do with his split-fingered fastball, which he uses very effectively against lefties. But with his stuff, there's no way that righties should be batting over .300 against him. He's got too good of an arm and too many weapons. We may need to hide the ball a little bit more against righties. Maybe use that fastball in more often.
Tony Batista has hit 25 home runs this season. Here's a ground ball to Bordick. And very quickly, 2 out. Jamie Campbell is minding the store at Sportsnet Live. Jamie, what are you minding right now?
I'm minding quite a scene in Pittsburgh for Jason Bay of Trail, BC. A home run for a grand slam, a 2-run shot, a 2-run double, 8 RBIs for Bay. His Pirates are trailing the Cubs by 1.
Back we go, 2 out. B.J. Surhoff, the batter. Great night for Bay. Surhoff is hitting .301. 39 runs batted in. Comes up with 2 out. Looks at a ball down low.
B.J. made only 1 start in that series last weekend in Toronto. He was suffering from back spasms. He's been playing this week, and he says he feels a lot better.
Foul back, 1 and 2. Pretty good crowd here with the effects of Hurricane Isabel. Many things were closed today, many offices and schools. But the fans, I guess, thinking the weekend is settled in, decided to see a little baseball. Final homestand for the Orioles.
A lot of people still talking about that game they played yesterday, at least played 5 innings against the New York Yankees. They moved the game up to a 12:35 start in the hopes of getting the game in before Isabel arrived. And they were only able to play 5 innings, and it was a 1-1 tie. It goes down as a complete game. All the stats count, but the game will have to be not completed, started again. And there's talk about that possibly next week in New York when the Orioles finish this season, the regular season, against the Yankees in New York.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Right in front of the plate, Cash. Lots of time. They make the play. And another 3 up, 3 down for Escobar. Canadian team considered one of the strong up-and-coming young teams. They can upset a lot of other nations, and it begins tomorrow. Omar Dahl facing Dave Berg, Kevin Cash, and Reed Johnson here in the top of the third. No score. Jays have managed 2 hits. Numbers on Dave Berg through 57 games.
And he's getting the start against a left-hander because Orlando Hudson has struggled batting right-handed this season. A chance for Dave Berg to get a start, get some at-bats.
Berg sends it high and foul left side. We were talking about the crowd. A lot of people were encouraged not to come downtown because of the situation with some of the streets being flooded. The Inner Harbor, just a short walk away, there's a lot less of it.
Yeah,
it had overflowed.
Quiet. Yeah.
Berg swings and misses. He goes down as the first out.
It looked like he got fooled, maybe looking down and away, and Dahl threw a fastball. It looked like a fastball. It wasn't very hard, but it's upstairs a little bit above the belt. Dave Berg was a little bit late.
Kevin Cash swings at the first offering. Kevin's just hitting 122. 6 runs batted in. Ground ball foul.
Well, the Orioles signed Dahl to a 2-year contract in the offseason. They wanted to insert a left-hander in their rotation. It had been a while. The last lefty to be a regular member of the Orioles starting rotation was Jimmy Key back in 1998, 5 years ago. You know, leave it to a new general manager, a former lefty, a former Blue Jay as well, Mike Flanagan, realizing the importance of the balance of a left-hander in along hard-throwing righties.
Ground ball. Dahl comes off the hill, fields it nicely, and makes the play.
Although Dahl has not pitched well this year for the Orioles, and he said he spent a lot of time on the disabled list with a sore shoulder. So another change up, a little ball down and away from the batter Cash. Just tapped out in front of the home plate. Nice play by Dahl.
And 2 out to the top of the order, Reed Johnson. You take a look through the order, I want to see 2 hits for the Jays. And Reed Johnson going to make this a quick inning for Omar Dahl. That goes into left center field, handled by Matos. 3 up, 3 down. If any Blue Jay hits for the Cyclone, that's not a bad choice, you know. Somebody takes home $1 million in the VTech $1 Million Baseball giveaway. And tonight's potential $1 million winner is Nora Silzer of Kelowna, British Columbia. Good luck to you, Nora. We'll keep track of everything that goes on. Orlando Hudson was a double away from the Cyclone in Detroit. Luis Matos, ground ball foul, first base side. And Escobar ahead 0-2.
You may remember a week ago up at Skydome, Luis Matos hurt himself and left the ball game late in the ball game on Friday night. Did not play the rest of the weekend. Hurt a hamstring on a ball hit in front of him.
Ball 1. Now 2-2. Matos was 1 for 3 yesterday. Had a run batted in, the only run for the Orioles in the game.
The Orioles had a chance to win that in the bottom of the 5th inning, knowing that the game was going to be called or suspended at that point. The rain was really coming down.
He gets him swinging. 2 strikeouts now for Escobar with the splitter.
Another good pitch right there. He dropped down a little bit too. He pulled it away from Matos, and see that rotation on the ball. Very little rotation with that split-fingered fastball. That's been a strikeout pitch for Kelvin throughout his career. Setting it up with a good hard fastball. When he's able to get ahead, he's tough. He probably had 6 days ago against Baltimore. is that he wasn't able to get ahead. He walked 6 batters, had a lot of deep counts, and consequently threw a lot of pitches.
Davy Cruz loops this one into left field. He just reached out and gets the first base hit for the Orioles.
And first base runner for Baltimore here with 1 out in the 3rd inning.
Brooke Fordyce hitting .281, has driven in 28 runs.
I mentioned last inning that Escobar likes Baltimore. In his career, he's 5-0 with a 2.52 ERA here in this ballpark. And again, he made his major league debut against the Orioles in this ballpark in relief of Juan Guzman back in 1997. Got the win in relief. He allowed just 1 run over 4 1/3 innings and just 2 hits. Not a bad way to start. Come in relief in his major league debut, get the win. You know who the first batter he faced in that game was? He's in the lineup for the Orioles tonight.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Mike Bordick. Let's see. Melvin Moore? No, not in the lineup.
In the lineup tonight.
Brooke Fordyce.
No. B.J. Surhoff.
Ah.
And he walked him.
There's a strike, and he was taking.
I remember the game. I worked the game. I don't remember who the batter was. I just read that. But if you ask Kelvin Escobar, he'd probably tell you the first batter he faced in the big leagues. Most pitchers remember, most position players remember the first batter or first pitcher they faced.
All right, first batter you faced.
I can't remember. No. Harold Baines. I've told you that.
Yeah.
Harold Baines.
Just trying to see if, you know, you're getting older.
Former
now.
Oriole.
Yeah. (3-1). Fouled away. Now the count's full.
Career against Baltimore with the win 6 days ago. Escobar is now 9-2 against the Orioles with 9 saves. The 9 wins and the 9 saves against Baltimore are the most versus any other opponent in the major leagues. You got to feel that Kelvin feels comfortable coming into this start.
Man on first. Here's the 3-2 on the run. This is fouled away. Cruz took off.
It's amazing, I guess, the power of the mind and the way our confidence works. And I mean, here's Kelvin, who obviously has very fond memories of this ballpark, making his debut here. And then you come back, each time he comes back, he likes the mound, he likes the surroundings. And it just almost balked. He luckily stepped off right there. The runner at first base. You come right back in there with a lot of confidence each time you take that mound.
Cruz goes again and fouled away again. Right in front of the Blue Jays dugout on the third base side.
You notice things have slowed down here for Escobar. That's been a tendency of his when he gets runners in scoring position or runners on base and starts working from the stretch. The tempo, everything slows down a bit between pitches.
Another 3-2 pitch. Fordyce goes after it, fouls it away again. It looked like it was ball 4, but Fordyce getting a little defensive there.
It was out of the strike zone, but another good split-fingered fastball with the runner on the move. That's the second time that Davy Cruz has been on the move from first base. Mike Hargrove will use the steal, will use the hit and run, try to generate some runs. The Orioles have had a lot of trouble scoring runs in the last 6 weeks.
Fly ball right field. Kelty coming in, makes the play, and Cruz goes back to first. So we've got an update. Let's join Jamie Campbell.
Fox is doing one of those retro broadcasts of the Mets and Expos. That little man that just hit the ball, Jose Vidro, home run, his 14th of the year. Expos with a 1-0 advantage on the New York Metropolitans.
That is retro if they're calling them the Metropolitans tonight. 2 out, man on first, top of the order, Brian Roberts. Roberts struck out. That one's low. Then into center field, and a couple of steps for Vernon Wells. That will strand Davy Cruz. That's 3 innings complete. Time for a snack at the ballpark.
Mariners facing Tim Hudson.
Yikes.
In that game, and they're in a situation they play the A's 6 times next 2 weekends, and they have to win. They're 2.5 games behind the Red Sox in that wild card race in the American League.
Mike Bordick fouled out his first trip to the plate, and now Dahl ahead 0-2. Outside, ball 1. Reaches out and pokes it straight at B.J. Surha. Bordick is retired. 3-1. Let me take a look at the American League and the wild card race now, as it appears Boston slipping out of reach of the Yankees. The Mariners 2.5 back of the Red Sox in the AL wild card. And in the American League, you look at the playoff races that are still around. New York leads by 5 over the Red Sox. Minnesota now has opened up a 3.5 game lead over Chicago. 4.5 better than Kansas City, while Oakland enjoys a 5-game bulge in the West. Vernon Wells drives the ball straight away center field. Back goes Matos. Back he goes. He won't get it. Bounces off the wall. Vernon Wells rounding second. He's headed for third. Safe at third. And a triple for Vernon Wells. He is 2 for 2, and now with 205 hits.
He hit that one. And as hard as he hit the first one, he had a line drive his first time up. Here, Dahl leaves a breaking ball up out over the plate, and he doesn't miss it. Right on the button, sends Matos to the deepest part of the ballpark. Over his head, 1 hop off the wall, and then right there, the ball is in front of Wells. He sees that he's going to be able to make third easily. He'll pop-up slide into third base, and he's in scoring position or at third with 1 out.
His 5th triple of the season. Now Carlos Delgado has a man 90 feet away.
Now you see the Orioles with the infield back and deep on that right side. They're conceding the run. So if Carlos is even able to hit a ground ball, a harmless ground ball that gets by the pitcher, he's going to pick up an RBI, and the Jays are going to lead.
One ball, 1 strike. He could just even find a nice, easy line drive between second and short. There's plenty of room there.
And he's just trying to hit the ball hard through the infield. A deep fly ball will score that run.
And the 1-1. Fouled out of play.
It actually doesn't even have to be that deep, with Wells running from third with good speed.
Gibbons playing very deep in right field. Couple of steps in front of the warning track.
Yeah, when you see an outfielder like that, that tells you that they're not comfortable going back on the ball. Gibbons not a great outfielder, but you're right, a lot of room in front of him.
Foul back again. See, look at that. Gibbons gets any closer, he's in the bullpen.
I mean, it almost looks as if it stays in the ballpark, he's going to be able to reach it. But a little jam shot by Delgado there's a good chance it drops in front of the right fielder. I'd rather see him in a little bit. Still be able to get back to the wall to take away that extra base hit and catch it.
Outside, ball 2. That is not the bullpen. Let me correct myself. That is the groundskeeper's lounge during the game. Right there they are. They're ready to go. Sporting the Thank You Fans t-shirt. Part of Fan Appreciation Weekend here at Camden Yards.
Yeah, it's a nice design, the way they built this ballpark.
Just reaching out, poking it into right field. RBI number 129 for Carlos Delgado as Wells makes it a 1-0 game.
Well, there's a little soft liner in front of the outfielder, Jay Gibbons, now with 129 RBIs. And again, I really think it's somewhat a wide-open MVP race in the American League. No one has stepped forward. Carlos Delgado was hands down the MVP in the first half of the season, really up until the beginning of August. But he has not played as well in the second half. Well, let's say he slowed up a little bit by the standards he set in the first half of the season.
And all he did is what you mentioned. He just reached out and poked that into right field. Josh Phelps, the batter now, with Delgado at first and 1 run in, 1 out. Phelps with a ground ball. Dahl reaches up, throws to second, and they get 2.
Second double play. The Orioles have turned. Dahl got it started, got to that ball off the bat of Phelps, made a low throw to the second baseman, Roberts. The feed on the run, the ball is down, but Roberts has time to touch the bag and then throw on to first base. The Jays score a run on the RBI by Delgado.
Bottom of the 4th inning at Camden Yards in Baltimore, the first of 3, a weekend series for the Jays and the O's. Toronto leads 1-0. 4 hits for Toronto, just 1 for the Orioles. Jerry Hairston begins in the bottom of the inning. Bigby and Gibbons to follow. And a strike to Hairston. He flied out to right. Boy, Hairston went after it. 0-2.
That's why you would figure with the stuff that Kelvin Escobar possesses, the type of arm, that if you're a right-handed batter, you don't really feel comfortable hitting against him, although it's been quite a different story this year.
That one knocked down by Escobar. On the mound, up with it. Throw over in time. He just knocked it down in desperation. He's lucky he didn't pick up the rosin bag, but George Poulos will come out and check on him.
Yeah, well, he's lucky it hit him where it did, I think. Looked like it hit him in the left foot and stayed right there. Otherwise, it's in the center field. He gets the out at first base. But there's an example. He had an 0-2 pitch, had Hairston 0-2 and threw him a fastball right down the middle of the plate.
That may have hurt him because George Poulos tried to touch the ankle, and Escobar immediately recoiled.
Hit him in the foot. Maybe it did hit him in the ankle. Well, he reacted quickly and got the out. He's been pitching so well. He's only allowed 1 hit, a scratch single to Davy Cruz in the last inning. He has retired everyone else. Take another look at this in slow motion. You know, maybe at the top of the foot, or
either his left instep, top of the spike.
Yeah, it's still going to hurt. That was hit right on the line. He wears the low pants. It's the type of thing that, you know, it may feel okay right now, but it's going to tighten up a little bit, maybe even swell up. They'd like to get some ice on it and perhaps wrap it between innings if we can get the next 2 batters out quickly.
No sense of urgency in the Jays bullpen, that's for sure.
Well, they'd get as much time if they did make a pitching change, of course, because of an injury. But you know that Kelvin Escobar wants to stay in this game. He obviously feels good. He's been throwing strikes, hasn't walked a batter, using all of his pitches, and you know the history of this ballpark and this team. He's fared very well against Baltimore, especially here.
Made the out, and Larry Bigby the batter. Ball 1 from Escobar, and the Jays will watch him closely this at bat against Bigby, who grounded out. in the first inning. Ball 2. There's a strike.
This is the 5th start for Escobar against Baltimore this year. He made back-to-back starts against the Orioles back in June, won the first, lost the second. And he had a no decision against them in July. And then, of course, he beat them 6 days ago up at Skydome. So he has a 2-1 record, a 4.32 ERA against the O's this year. And again, 9-2 lifetime against Baltimore.
The 2-2 bounces in. Counts ball.
Right, Kevin Cash is quick on his feet. George Poulos, the head trainer for Toronto, watching very closely and making sure Escobar does not favor that foot or that ankle area. I'm sure Gil Patterson and Carlos Tosca are doing the same.
Bigby hits it foul down the third baseline. He'll head back to the plate.
It doesn't appear that he's favoring it. I'm watching the last couple of deliveries of Escobar. Now, he is walking gingerly back up to the rubber, but again,
those injuries too, you don't want to take your shoe off.
Well, exactly. Yeah, you get in that dugout, you like to elevate a little bit, maybe put a little bit of ice on it.
The 3-2. Ball 4. He loses Bigby.
There's the first man he's walked. There's his delivery, and again, all of his weight is on that right leg until he transfers all of his weight to his left side, and he comes around with that good hip action. He really has good mechanics. One of the reasons he's been healthy most of his career, been able to take the ball both as a closer and a starter now. Actually thrives on a lot of work. He likes to get the ball. He did as a closer. And he can throw a lot of pitches for you as a starter.
Want to know the count to Gibbons. Gibbons popped up to Mike Bordak. Gibbons now, line drive, base hit, left field. Runners first and second. So the O's have something going in the 4th inning.
Now look at the location of that pitch. Bell tie running away from Gibbons. On Sunday, Gibbons hit a ball right down the left field line on a pitch in the same spot off of Corey Lytle for a 2-run home run. A pivotal hit in that game on Sunday. The Orioles were able to avoid a sweep of the Blue Jays at Skydome last weekend.
Tony Batista swings at the first pitch. Batista grounded out to short. And led off. That was the out for him in the 2nd inning. Got runners at first and second, went away.
Back-to-back breaking balls. Good sliders right there from Kelvin Escobar. Look at that ball drop. Work down and away from the Batista. And he may be thinking strikeout. Or even better yet, a ground ball. Hit at one of the middle infielders.
First and second, the 0-2. Get him looking.
3 straight sliders. No argument from Batista. He knew he got caught looking there. Probably looking fastball, maybe split-fingered fastball. He gets another slider that starts a little bit up out of the strike zone. You see the tight rotation, and the ball drops right in the strike zone, the outer half of the plate, and a second out of the inning. A big strikeout there for Escobar. Trying to protect this 1-0 lead.
2 out now. B.J. Surhoff, the batter. Surhoff fouls it away. He grounded out to end the 2nd inning. Bigby's at second base. Gibbons at first. Jays with a 1-0 lead. There's the threat by the Orioles. Fouled away left side. Now Escobar ahead 0-2.
Well, after he was hit on that line drive in the foot area,
He may have nursed it a little bit with
yeah,
Bigby and Gibbons, but he's come back.
he walked Bigby, gave the base hit to Gibbons, and he's a strike away from getting the next two guys on strikeouts.
The 0-2. He gets them. 2 strikeouts to end the inning and leave 2 aboard.
With a nasty split-fingered fastball. Strands 2. Jays through 4 innings, lead 1-0.
5th inning, Camden Yards in Baltimore with John Cerruti and our stats man and Sportsnet.ca columnist Scott Carson. I'm Rob Fault. Blue Jays lead 1-0. And Bobby Kelty takes ball 1 from Omar Dahl. He grounded into a double play. His first at bat. Takes a strike 1-1. Inside, ball 2. Three and 1. Kelty wanted all of it. The count's full.
And another changeup. That's really Dahl's best pitch. Really sells it as a fastball, and it's about 10 miles an hour slower. That one at 76 miles an hour.
3-2 down low, ball 4. We've got an update. Let's join Jamie Campbell.
The Phillies trail Florida by a half game in the wild card scene in the National League. Mike Lieberthal with a shot here as the Phillies have a 4-2 edge on Cincinnati.
Leadoff man aboard in the top of the 5th. Jays leading 1-0. Eric Hinsky facing Dahl and takes up high. Eric grounded out to B.J. Surhoff. Easy run to the bag for Surhoff to end the 2nd inning. One and 1.
Dahl dropped down on that last pitch. Eric Hinsky has had some trouble against lefties this season. Certain lefties have really given him trouble. Some relievers around the league that he hasn't picked up the ball as well against.
Up high, 2-1.
He had a lot of trouble last night. Struck out the first 4 times. He faced the starter Mike Maroth, who ended up losing his 21st game of the year.
Hinsky sends it foul left side. John received a note from Gil Patterson. He, on behalf of the Blue Jays, want to wish a happy birthday to Gladys Craig, who turns 95 this weekend. Blue Jay fan since 1977. Gil is sending out an open invitation to come visit her team, the Blue Jays. So happy birthday to Gladys Craig this weekend. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Hinsky. He drives the ball into center field. It will drop in front of Matos and put 2 aboard.
Well, Dahl got a ball up and out over the plate. Trying to work it down and away and left it belt high. And Hinsky lined it into center field.
Mike Hargrove coming out for a visit. Is that Hargrove? Is that Wiley?
It's a quick visit. It looks like
Oh,
it
it's
might
Wiley. It is Mark Wiley.
Mark Wiley, the pitching coach, who was with Mike Hargrove in Cleveland for a number of years.
He's too fast for Mike Hargrove.
Well, the manager, when he makes a trip, it's usually to make a change. I think Wiley probably reminding Dahl to work the ball down in the strike zone. There's Damian Moss, the left-hander, who's been up. It's now the second time. He's the man they traded for with the San Francisco Giants. Came over in that Ponson deal. Since Sidney Ponson was a free agent at the end of this year. He's on a first-place ball club out in the National League West.
A team that's already clinched.
Has already clinched.
They've already popped some champagne corks.
Yeah, how about Felipe Alou? Congratulations. He's returning to San Francisco, a team he played for years ago.
Dave Berg, the batter, nobody out, 2 men on. Berg struck out to begin the 3rd inning. Sends a foul, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Speaking of the Giants, and we were speaking earlier about the MVP race in the American League, I can't see it being anybody other than Barry Bonds again this year. Another phenomenal year. He's been through a lot with the loss of his dad, and boy, he just continues to hit and hit home runs. I know that Pujols has had an outstanding year with the Cardinals, but boy, you look at the numbers and what Bonds has done once again, and clearly he's the best hitter in the game.
1 ball, 1 strike, nobody out.
He may be the best player to ever play the game.
Berg will have this one drop in right center field. Getting the wave is Bobby Kelty. Hinsky goes to 3rd, an RBI single for Dave Berg, and the Jays open up a 2-0 lead.
Well, Mark Wiley may have told Omar Dahl to work the ball down, and that's just where he threw that last pitch to Dave Berg. Tried to turn it over, and Dave Berg had a great approach. Didn't try to pull this pitch. I think he'll try to go with it. The ball stayed more in the middle of the plate, but a very good swing, a good approach. Lining that ball into the alley in right center field, driving in the 2nd run for the Blue Jays, and now Mike Hargrove makes a trip to the mound. He's going to make a pitching change.
Omar Dahl is done with the Jays leading 2-0, nobody out in the top of the 5th. As the Blue Jays head back to Skydome for their final homestand, the Pizza weekday steals a good deal Monday through Thursday against the Devil Rays. And on Monday, Roy Halladay pitches. 100 level ticket, a slice of za, only $26. 416-341-1234. And earlier today, now either Pat Henkin was getting a tip on how to throw something or was teaching Roy Halladay a new pitch. What do you think?
Well, right there, it looks like Pat Henkin's showing Roy Halladay something.
Did he say
With 2
thanks?
friends and former teammates in Toronto, of course.
And Roy, of course,
Mutual
said,
respect.
thanks very much, Pat. I'll try that next year.
Yeah.
Right now, things are working well for me this year.
Well, pitchers are always tinkering, looking for another pitch, but you're right. Roy Halladay, he has 4 or 5 pitches, but he's only used 2. Here's Damian Moss, the left-hander, who was not listed as a reliever for Mike Hargrove before this game. He's been a starter who was taken out of that rotation, now working out of the bullpen. He has not pitched well. He's coming over from the Giants in that trade for Sidney Ponson.
What a great opportunity for Kevin Cash, who's been struggling at the plate. 1st and 3rd, nobody out. On Wednesday, Kevin was able to snap an 0 for 19 spell. On the move, Berg, and he will be out. There was the hit and run.
Yep, and we've seen Carlos Casca put that hit and run on with Kevin Cash at the plate. When you put the hit and run on, the runner leaves and runs from first base, and as a hitter, you have to put the ball in play. They want you to swing at it. He swings right through it. Fordyce comes up throwing. Looked like a phantom tag maybe, but the throw was there well before Berg. And there's the first out. Now they bring the infield in.
Cash fouls it away. 1 ball, 2 strikes. I'll let you be the umpire.
Did he get him?
Oh, got him on the sleeve.
Yeah, he got him. And Dave Berg knew it.
The 1-2 ground ball right at Davy Cruz with the infield playing in. Nowhere for Hinske to go. 2 out.
Wow. First and third, nobody out. One batter later, 2 outs and a runner at third. No run in yet. It'll be up to the leadoff man, Reed Johnson, who's 0 for 2 tonight. He's grounded out and flied out as we go through the order. Second time through the order, the Blue Jays with 6 hits, all coming against the starter Dahl.
A strike to Reed Johnson. He's 0 for 2.
Got a 15-game hitting streak on the line.
The 1-1 up high, 2-1. Jays have really enjoyed watching this young man progress since getting the call up. He sends it foul. Injuries caused him some problems and caused him to be kind of slipped from the radar. He worked hard in spring training, got a couple of call-ups late in the Grapefruit League season. They liked his work ethic, and when they had to make a call, they called for Reed Johnson. Fouls that one back.
I've talked to a few scouts over the course of this season that saw Reed Johnson play in the minor leagues 3-4 years ago when he was healthy, and they said, boy, I liked him then. I liked his style of play. Always seemed to have a dirty uniform, always played hard. And that's what he says. He says, when he first came to the big leagues this year, he said he knew it was a great opportunity, and that's the way he's always played. 100% all the time.
Fly ball, left field. Foul.
Well, he hit that one. He turned on that inside fastball and just missed from hitting a 2-run home run. He pulls it a few feet foul. 20 deep.
And now Johnson with a 2-2 count, a man 90 feet away. The breaking ball fools him. Moss got him looking, and that strands Hinske at third. Jays manage to get one and take a 2-0 lead. Bottom of the 5th inning, Toronto leads Baltimore 2-0, 2 runs on 6 hits. O's with just 2 hits. Matos, Cruz, and Fordyce against Kelvin Escobar. Strike 2. Matos struck out to lead off the 3rd inning.
Well, it appears that Escobar's foot or ankle, whatever, was struck by that line drive in the last inning. Seems it's all right. He did leave the dugout between innings and went in with George Poulos to maybe, I'm not sure if they wrapped it. It looked like George said to him, at least we were watching between innings, that if they took the shoe off, like you said, it may swell up. So again, we're not sure exactly where that ball hit him, somewhere around that ankle or foot area.
One ball, 2 strikes. And he gets him swinging, his 5th strikeout. The last 3 batters Escobar has faced he has struck out, getting the final 2 outs in the 4th, courtesy of the strikeout, and now Matos.
Yeah, second time he's gotten Matos. Another split-fingered fastball. Little tumbling action, but it moves down and in under the swing, under the bat of Matos.
Davey Cruz singled. He got the first hit of the ball game for the O's. And now steps in with 1 out. First ball hitting, pops it very high. Dave Berg.
Now Escobar continuing a trend for Toronto pitching here tonight. On the month, Blue Jays leading the league in ERA. 3.21. Boy, Halliday's been unbelievable. Roy Halladay has had 4 consecutive complete game wins, but the rest of the staff has pitched well.
And the whole team is 12-4 this month.
You pitch like that, and you get the offense the Blue Jays have really gotten all season. They're second in the American League in batting and second in runs scored. Well, they pitched well in some months this year, and they played well in those months. But overall, the pitching is still suspect. They're still in need of pitching.
The 1-2 punch, though, this month has been Roy Halladay and Josh Towers. Ball 2.
It makes you wonder. Just looking at the win-loss records around the leagues earlier today.
This one has popped up again. Berg now on the outfield grass. Holds it in to make it a 1-2-3 fifth. 5 innings complete. Escobar walks out with a 2-0 lead.
I'm Jamie Campbell back at Sportsnet Live. If you manage to get all 4 Sportsnet regions, you can catch the A's and Mariners coming up at 7 Pacific, 10 o'clock Eastern time. The Mariners could be out of it by the weekend. It doesn't help that the Boston Red Sox are playing some solid ball right now. Don't know why you just saw an Orioles logo, because this is the Indians and the Red Sox. That is Gabe Kapler with a double. He'd come in on a sac fly a little later on. Nomar Garcia-Parra with his 26th home run of the year. Boston has the 2-0 edge on Cleveland.
Kelvin Escobar, 5 innings, 70 pitches. He has struck out 5, allowed just 2 hits, while Omar Dahl made it through 4+ innings, 4 innings plus 3 batters, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, walked 1, struck out 1. My question to you, John, is at 61 pitches and through 4 innings, what didn't Mike Hargrove like?
Well, I think he didn't want this game to get out of hand. Omar Dahl has not pitched well against Toronto this season. And with the way Escobar is pitching tonight, I think he felt it was going to be a low-scoring game. At least he was hoping it was going to be. It's 2-0 at this point, but I think that Dahl didn't show his manager enough. And remember, Dahl is still coming back from time on the disabled list, so he's still working himself back into shape. That may be part of it. He pitched in relief last week, just 2 innings against Toronto.
Mike Bordick is the batter, facing another left-hander, and Damian Moss, who took over, was able to clean up a little bit of a mess that Dahl left. Moss is 26. There's a chopper, and it is foul as it kicked foul. He was born in Darlinghurst, Australia, now resides in Dublin, Georgia.
In the last 2 seasons, he played with the Atlanta Braves. He was with the Giants this year and came, again, was acquired at the trading deadline on July 31st from the San Francisco Giants, along with the right-handed pitcher Kurt Ainsworth, who's with the Orioles, as well as another lefty, Ryan Hanneman, in exchange for Sidney Ponson.
2-2. Bordick sends it very high into shallow left center field. And there's the first out. Well, Vernon Wells has been a busy man. Let's take a look at his spray zone. Brought to you by Hyundai. When you can get everything you want in a car and in life, you win. 2 hits tonight for Vernon.
A single and a triple. He had the single to right center field, the triple over the head of the center fielder. 85 hits to center field of the 205. So he still uses the ballpark. only 38 hits to right field, but he hits a lot of balls up the middle. First pitch he skips away from. Just seeing the ball well, very comfortable at the plate. This pitch from Moss chasing him back. Talk about MVP candidates. Certainly he's going to get some votes.
This one he laces into left field. Back it goes, off the wall. And Vernon Wells now adds the double to his total. He's got the single, the triple, and the double.
He just missed a homer. He hit that ball so hard it had topspin on it, and that's why it stayed in the ballpark, and he still ran hard out of this box. I thought this might be gone, but he breaks quickly. There's that instinct. I think he knew that it may not go out. You see he missed it by about a foot. Came right to Bigby in left field, but he was in the second base ahead of the throw. A one-out double here in the sixth, and as you said, a home run away from the cycle and $1 million winner.
So we're telling right now, Nora Silzer of Kelowna, BC, to sit tight for Vernon Wells' next at-bat. Breaking ball. And a VTech potential $1 million winner awaits.
I mean, you start handicapping the MVP race in the American League, and, you know, Delgado's right there, of course. He leads in a lot of offensive categories.
Up high.
With Vernon Wells, with his average, with the RBIs, the on-base percentage, the number of hits, he's leading the league in the number of hits, and all along playing Gold Glove caliber center field.
You know, that's not a bad thing to consider when you look. It's going to be very crowded in the AL when you've got Garrett Anderson, you've got maybe Manny Ramirez, Nomar Garciaparra, you've got Frank Thomas, Carlos Delgado. So the vote, if it starts to get splintered a little bit.
It really is an interesting vote.
The 3-0, and Damian Moss will walk Carlos Delgado.
Well, it looked like a pretty good pitch right there from Moss. Like a fastball right on the outside part of the plate. You see how far outside Fordyce is, but the ball, well, it might have been off the plate, sure. Setting up outside, they weren't giving in there to Delgado. So now they have the force play with Josh Phelps stepping in.
Phelps singled in the second, hit into a double play in the fourth. Has runners first and second, one out.
Well, that's just what they're looking for. That's one of the reasons they pitched around Delgado, to set up the double play.
Phelps goes after the first offering from Moss.
The MVP voting is voted on by two different writers, designated writers in each American League city. And it really depends on how often they see a particular player or a particular team, how they weight the defense versus the offense, whether that player has to be on a contending team or not.
Right at the knees for strike two, 0-2 the count.
There's another guy you didn't mention, A-Rod. He's putting up some big numbers once again down in Texas. I thought last year he was the MVP in the American League, but I was wrong. You convinced me by the end of the year.
It didn't convince you. You had to wait till the vote. 0-2 the count, one down, first and second occupied.
No, you convinced me at the beginning of this year. I still say I think A-Rod should have 2 MVP to his name already. But that's what the voters look for. They look for someone to step forward here in the month of September. And to this point, no one really has. Clearly, Garciaparra has not hit very well. Manny Ramirez has had some big hits, and he has some big numbers.
The 0-2 outside 1-2. I think now Vernon Wells is
he's the one
making a very loud noise to be noticed.
He has this month, certainly.
Now he's got 206 hits.
Yeah, he's gone right by 200. I mean, he's going to break the franchise record set by Tony Fernandez with 213 hits.
And I think, Josh Phelps looked at that once, twice, and then held up. He goes down on strikes.
The Moss showing a good curveball. He got Reed Johnson to end the last inning and left a man aboard. Here he's trying to strand 2 runners. A good breaking ball that drops over from the outside corner right across the middle of the plate and gets Phelps looking.
Bobby Kelty walked and scored in the 5th. He hit into a double play in the 2nd. 2 out, runners 1st and 2nd here in the 6th.
Well, you told me last year you feel that the MVP should come from a contending team, a winning team.
No, I said it should be the most
If it's
valuable
close.
to that team. Granted,
Yeah.
A-Rod was the most valuable, was the best player, but I
Right.
don't think he was most valuable.
No, and that's just how voters, I mean, the voters feel differently about how much they weigh which team the player's on. Is he more valuable to that team? Does it have to be a contending team? How much does defense play into the most valuable player?
Vernon Wells at 2nd, Delgado at 1st, 2 down, a 2-0 count to Bobby Kelty. Moss comes out, and this one goes right to a leaping Brian Roberts to end the inning. Moss got in a little bit of trouble, but got out of it courtesy of a strikeout and then the line out. Bottom of the 6th inning, and it's the top of the Orioles order. Roberts, Hairston, and Bigby to face Kelvin Escobar, who's tossed a 2-hitter to this point. Roberts is 0 for 2. Strikeout and a fly ball out. Blue Jays have won 9 of the 16 games against the Orioles this season. Strike 2, 1 ball, 2 strikes to Roberts. To the right side, high and playable. No, couldn't get to it.
Josh Phelps drifted with that ball. Never got to the tarp quickly. You see the ball carrying back to his left and then just out of his reach. You
One
try
more
to go
step.
as far as you can, and you can always come back. But again, Josh Phelps has not played a lot of first base, has not played a lot of first base here in this ballpark, and it takes some time to get used to the surroundings.
And that's not what they practice during BP and infield practice. They don't send anything into foul territory.
And the Jays did not take batting practice today. Again, they traveled today from Detroit. Normally they would have came last night because of the hurricane moving through this area. They waited till today.
Well, as did we, coming in from various parts. It was a little bouncy arriving. And, of course, everything was delayed last night coming into the Baltimore area. They shut down the airports. And so the Jays traveled and got in around noon today. One sails away, 2-2.
But sometimes that's fine, especially with the Jays, the way they're playing. They've won 12 of the 16 games they've played this month. Really on a roll, and you get a feeling that you're almost barnstorming when you get on the road. Doesn't matter where you go, who you play, and of course they're playing teams with sub 500 records. The Tigers with the worst record in all of baseball, on pace to lose a record 121 games, and possibly even more. They play Minnesota this weekend and next weekend.
Ball 4 to Roberts. 2 walks by Escobar to go with his 5 strikeouts.
Well, Roberts has been a nice surprise for Baltimore this year. Got a chance to play second base when Jerry Hairston fractured a bone in his foot back in May. He's played solid defense and has been a spark plug at the top of that order.
Couldn't get him out of the lineup. Jerry Hairston now is the DH tonight.
Yeah, they got a nice problem there with 2 second basemen. Both are former shortstops. Both came up through the amateur ranks and early in the minor leagues played shortstop. There was some discussion earlier this year that they might be able to move one of those two players to shortstop next year. Davy Cruz is here on a one-year contract, but they feel they're not sure that either Hairston or Roberts can play shortstop, so they may re-sign Cruz.
Fly ball center field shallow, running in. Vernon Wells for the out. Hairston now 0 for 3. That leaves Roberts at first, and Larry Bigby will be the batter. He's 0 for 1 with a walk.
The Orioles didn't make a lot of moves in the offseason. They're still looking for help, and they will make some trades and sign some free agents in the offseason. A lot of speculation, though. They may go after Vladimir Guerrero. They need some stock.
They better
need to
stand
score
in
some
line.
runs. Yeah. Well, there's only about 3 or 4 teams maybe that can afford
I think
Vladdy.
I think a lot of teams might decide they can afford Vladdy.
Well, there's certainly going to be the top
Well, we know there's
free
one
agent on the market in the offseason.
on the East Coast for sure. Outside.
One that's been looking for a right fielder all season.
One with a comfortable lead in the East.
Yeah, you know, the rich keeps getting richer. I don't know. It's amazing. They go out and they get the new contract, the new basic agreement last year. Say they're going to curb spending a little bit, and they turn around and spend more.
The 1-1 up high, 2-1.
Mike Flanagan and Jim Beattie wanted to score more runs this year. They've already scored more than they did last year. Last year they were second to last in the American League in runs scored.
Fly ball. Back it goes, left field. It is over the wall. A 2-run home run for Larry Bigby, and the game is tied. Only the 3rd hit by the Orioles, but it's a big one. His 9th homer of the year. Bigby ties it up.
You see the location of the pitch, up and out over the plate. Bigby hits the underside of the baseball with a lot of authority, and that ball will carry. It's only 364 feet to that point of the ballpark, a very short gap power alley in left center field here at Camden Yards, and Bigby finds the seats and ties the game.
Jay Gibbons is 1 for 2. Swings at the first offering after the home run, as the fans still murmuring about the home run by Bigby.
Yeah, leadoff walk. He walked Roberts to begin this inning.
Gibbons now cranks this to right field. Foul.
You can see it right. It's just 318 feet. Good left-handed hitter's park. It's good hitter's park. The ball carries pretty well here. Shorter dimensions, but a very short porch in right field. It's a high wall, but it's only 318 feet from home plate. Gibbons pulls this ball right down that line, and you see it land just foul.
The 0-2. Inside, exactly where Kevin Cash wanted it, but just a little more than perhaps he was asking for.
Escobar still throwing with velocity, good velocity, 94 miles an hour with that last fastball. And back to the breaking ball, and it was a good one. Saw Cash go through 4 different signs before Escobar found the one he wanted. When he drops in a curveball, boy, a very good one. Down out of the strike zone. Gibbons swings over it. It's another strikeout, the 6th in the ball game for Escobar.
2 out. 2 runs have scored. Batista is 0 for 2 on the night. Ball 1. Fouls it back.
The Orioles last year, I mentioned they were second to last in the American League in runs scored. They scored 667 runs a year ago. This year, they've already scored 707. So they're on pace to maybe score 60 or 70 more than they did a year ago. And I remember Mike Flanagan joining us back in June when we first came to Camden Yards, saying he'd like to increase that by 100. Well, they're not going to get there, but he felt they could do it with the same roster they had just by increasing the on-base percentage, being a little more selective at the plate. And they have done that. They've walked a little bit more, haven't struck out quite as much. Last year, their on-base percentage was second to last also in the league, just .306. They were last in batting. Well, they turned that around a bit. It's been somewhat of a surprise. The pitching hasn't been as good, but the hitting has been a little bit better.
The 2-2. Batista chased it. That finishes off the sixth, but not before Bigby ties it up. A 2-run homer. Tied at 2 after 6. Fan Appreciation Day at Skydome in Toronto, Sunday, September 28th against the Indians. 1:05 first pitch. The first 10,000 fans at the ballpark will receive a free Baseball North T-shirt. For ticket information, 416-341-1234. Fan Appreciation Weekend here in Baltimore, their final homestand of the season. And the fans appreciated the 2-run homer by Bigby. It's tied at 2. Damian Moss now facing Hinsky, Berg, and Cash. Hinsky takes ball 1. He singled last trip to the plate. Stranded at third. Jays had a glorious opportunity. Could only get 1 run out of it.
Yeah, they really did. After the RBI by Berg, scored Bobby Kelty with the Blue Jays' second run of the ball game. Hinsky went from first to third on that base hit. They had first and third, nobody out. That's when Moss came into the ball game, and he has pitched well. Got Kevin Cash to bounce out after Dave Berg was thrown out on a failed hit and run. When Cash swung through it, Berg was gunned out at second base. There's another good off-speed pitch. Moss struck out Reed Johnson in that inning. Had 2 base runners, a double by Wells and a walk to Delgado in the 6th inning, the last inning, but he stranded both of those runners.
Hinsky. High right field. Gibbons makes the first out in the 7th. Let's join Jamie Campbell.
Russ Ortiz has a 1-hitter through 4. He also has an RBI single. It's 1-0 Atlanta over Florida. The Phillies are winning, so that wild card scene is getting very interesting.
Dave Berg has an RBI single, driving in the 2nd Blue Jays run in the 5th. So he is 1 for 2 on the evening.
How about that National League wild card race and the Central Division? Incredible how many teams still in it, still with chances to get to the postseason.
The 0-2. Cruz has to charge it. And he gets it. Good scoop by B.J. Surhoff to get the 2nd out.
We were talking about the National League wild card race. Well, are the Phillies going to get the Marlins? The Marlins with a half-game lead and pivotal game against Atlanta tonight. The Cubs right in the thick of the Central Division as well as the wild card. You see the Cubs just a half game behind the Houston Astros. Looks like St. Louis isn't going to get there this year.
Atlanta and San Francisco already know they're postseason bound.
But they're playing meaningful games. They're playing for home field advantage.
Kevin Cash with a fly ball, and it will be caught by Bigby. He chases it down. Does it with the bat and then with the glove. 1, 2, 3 go the Blue Jays in the 7th inning. It's tied at 2.
The Good Wrench Game Summary. Brought to you by GM Good Wrench Service. Ordinary service is for ordinary cars. Good Wrench Service is for your GM car.
Stretch time at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Jays scored one in the fourth and the fifth. Two-run shot by Bigby in the sixth has tied the game. Wells needs the home run to make somebody a millionaire. Game's gone at a pretty good clip into the bottom of the seventh. B.J. Surhoff, Luis Matos, and Davy Cruz against Kelvin Escobar. Escobar has only given up 3 hits, but the blast by Bigby. And there's a nice scoop by Bordick. Plenty of time. He makes the out.
Orioles fans very familiar with that move right there. Mike Bordick last year set a major league record. Actually, they carried over into this season for consecutive games without an error and consecutive chances without an error by a shortstop. Very smooth once again right there. And it's possible that, I guess we've been saying this every ballpark he goes to, that Mike Bordick may be playing his last series here in this ballpark, although I got a feeling he'll be back next year somewhere.
Matos is 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts. Now 1-on-1 to count.
Mike Bordick was one of the Jays player that was hoping to get here to Baltimore last night. He lives in this area. Of course, had concern for his family, and everything was okay.
Fouls that down. Bordick lives just outside of Towson, not too far away from downtown Baltimore, about 20 minutes away.
They were telling me it's amazing how selective a hurricane, a natural disaster can be. Certain areas are flooded and without power, and just around the corner they can have no flood waters, and the electricity never left them. Still many homes, all not only from this area, of course, all through the southeast and the Carolinas, without power tonight. And I'm saying in some areas it may be a week before they get the power back on.
Matos sends it the other way, foul. Annapolis, Maryland, about 20 minutes away, right on the water, had a lot of problem with flooding. This bird seems dry right now. This bird right now doing a bad job. 3 hits, 2 runs. The 1-2, fly ball right field. Kelty backs up, warning track. Makes the grab, 2 out.
Kelvin has pitched well. A couple of mistakes in the last inning. He walked the leadoff man, Brian Roberts, got a fly ball out off of the bat of Hairston, and then he got a ball up to Larry Bigby, and he hit it for a 2-run home run just into the seats beyond the left center field wall. 100 pitches now in the night, and he's here into the 7th with 2 outs. That's good.
Pitches up high, and now with Escobar hitting the century mark in pitches, Blue Jays have a little activity in the bullpen. Dan Reichert, the right-hander, heating up. Strike to go with ball 1 to Davy Cruz, who's 1 for 2. He singled to left in the 3rd, popped up to second base. Dave Berg in the 5th. Now 1-2. 7 strikeouts to Escobar's credit tonight. Two balls, 2 strikes.
I was looking at the pitch counts for Kelvin Escobar this season. He has thrown over 110 pitches on many occasions this year. His highest pitch count was 121 pitches. That was back in June.
Sent foul, third baseline.
But he's such a strong young man. I think of him as being around a while, but Kelvin is just 27 years of age.
6'1", 210 pounds, and very strong. I would think if he's able to get this batter, Davy Cruz, that Carlos Tosca may send him out in the 8th inning. He's just over 100 pitches. They'd love to get him his 12th win tonight. They need some runs.
Two balls, two strikes to Cruz. Two outside. Cruz looked at it.
It's the second time he's dropped down. The previous pitch he dropped down a little bit, and that last one he still was able to throw it 95 miles an hour. That's something we've seen from Kelvin Escobar this year as a starter. He's invented some pitches and some different slots with his arm.
Again, foul down the third baseline.
Kelvin, a free agent at the end of this season. He'll get one more start, which will be next week in that series against Tampa Bay, back at Skydome. After this series here in Baltimore, the Blue Jays return home for their final 7 games of the regular season. 4 against Tampa Bay and 3 against Cleveland.
Ball 4. 3 walks now, and that's a 2-out walk given up by Escobar to Davy Cruz. Checking his notes, Carlos Tosca. Reichert was warming up for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, he's checking to see if Reichert's ready, but I really think that Carlos Tosca wants to give Escobar at least this inning and give him a chance to get the win if the Blue Jays were able to score in the top of the 8th. But if you pull a pitcher at this point in a tie game, of course, he will not be able to get a win. And actually could get a loss with the responsibility of the runner at first base.
Fordyce is 0 for 2. That's ball 1 low. Now 1 ball, 1 strike. Fastball from Escobar. Still 94 miles an hour, so still has his velocity.
But now throwing more pitches. He threw quite a few pitches to Davy Cruz, ended up walking him. And now at 111 pitches on the night, it may be his last inning.
Ground ball knocked down by Phelps. Up with it is Berg. The throw to the bag in time. That's all for the O's in the 7th. When we come back in the 8th, Vernon Wells will try to make something. The new man on the mound for the Orioles, tied at 2, Hector Carrasco. Right-hander with a 4.11 ERA. And he will face the top third of the order. Johnson, Bordick, and Wells.
He was signed as a free agent back in March. Started the year in AAA Ottawa. And has had a pretty good year here with Baltimore. Was called up on June 29th. His contract was purchased from Ottawa. The Orioles AAA affiliate for a long time was in Rochester, New York, and just moved to Ottawa this year. And then they actually made the playoffs. They had a pretty good season.
Johnson, after trying to lay down the bunt, fouls a pitch away. 0-2.
Trying to get aboard. Got the big men coming up behind him.
Ball 1. Two balls, 2 strikes. 15-game hitting streak for Reed Johnson on the line. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out, flied out, and struck out. Vernon Wells due up 3rd in this inning. Looking for a home run for the cycle. The 2-2. Johnson as this one looped into shallow right field. He's got a 16-game hitting streak. Let's join Jamie Campbell.
We go back to that retro broadcast at Shea Stadium. Jose Vidro's second home run of the night is a grand slam. It's the Expos who will play all their home games at Olympic Stadium next year, leading the Mets 5-1.
Back at Camden Yards, Mike Bordick comes up with a man on, nobody out. Reed Johnson at first. Bordick pops this one up, and Carrasco makes the play. Bordick was trying to lay down the bunt and got under it. And now here's a million reasons to watch this next at-bat. Nora Silzer of Kelowna, BC, is the VTech $1 million potential winner. Vernon Wells has a single, a triple, and a double. He's a home run away from the cycle, joining Kelly Gruber and Jeff Fry as the only Blue Jays to hit for the cycle. But that would be worth $1 million to Nora Silzer of Kelowna, BC.
A little over anxious there, chasing the high fastball.
I mentioned the last cycle, and Jeff Fry against the Texas Rangers, August 17th of 01. Kelly Gruber had the first by a Blue Jays player.
3 nights ago, Orlando Hudson had a chance. He needed a double.
Inside.
That against Detroit. He had a shot in his last at bat in the 9th inning. Orlando not playing tonight against the lefty starter Omar Dahl. But available to pitch hit. He's been swinging the bat well from the left side.
1 ball, 1 strike. A base hit into left field. Johnson rounds second, but Bigby up with the ball, and he'll stay there. So 4 hits for Vernon Wells on the night. Runners first and second.
Mike Hargrove is going to make a pitching change. He's going to go to lefty to face Carlos Delgado. He's got a couple of choices down there. B.J. Ryan and Buddy Groom. Looks like it's going to be the tall left-hander B.J. Ryan is going to come in and face Delgado with 2 men aboard in a tie game here in Baltimore.
And 13 against Matt Riley. Got his first major league win against the Blue Jays. Those are the men set to meet tomorrow night here on Rogers Sportsnet.
And Ryan throws hard. His best pitch, a very sharp slider.
And a strike to Carlos Delgado. .222 average by the opposition.
You see the strikeouts. Ryan has the best strikeout to innings pitched ratio of American League relievers. Close to 12 strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. And you see Carlos Delgado has had trouble with the left-hander.
1-1, foul back.
Ryan hides the ball well. That's part of it. It's tough to pick up his release point as a left-handed hitter, especially. And he has that devastating slider that works away from you if you're a lefty. And he throws hard enough to keep you honest. So pound that fastball in on your hands as well.
One ball, 2 strikes, 1 out, first and second. Jays and O's tied at 2.
Ryan has always been much tougher on left-handed hitters. That's why Mike Hargrove has used him predominantly as a specialist against lefties.
The 1-2, Delgado lofts that one. It will drop in. Coming around to score is Reed Johnson. Vernon Wells, lots of giddy up, gets the third. Jays take a 3-2 lead. 2 RBIs on the night for Delgado. He now has 130.
A league-leading 130, and that's a big one right there. Ryan got a pitch up, and Carlos hit it the other way. Ball slicing away from the center fielder. It's a slider that stays up, belt high. He goes with it. You see the ball tailing away from Matos in center field. It drops. And the Blue Jays on top now, 3-2. Another big RBI for Carlos.
Josh Phelps, runners at the corners, one away, and a 3-2 lead for Toronto. That run will be charged to Hector Carrasco. Phelps singled in the second, hit into a double play in the fourth, called out on strikes in the sixth. Now 3-0 as Ryan serves one up high. Phelps lines that into right field. Vernon Wells will score. Phelps has 2 hits. Jays open up a 2-run lead.
And that was a good piece of hitting right there. Ryan staying away from Phelps, and Josh goes that way. And the ball on the outer half of the plate, outer edge of home plate, and a beautiful swing by Phelps, lining that ball in the right field. Here's Mark Wiley, the pitching coach. Well, Ryan comes in and faces the heart of the order. He gives up a RBI single to Delgado, and now an RBI single to Phelps.
Bobby Kelty is the batter, the switch hitter. Lightenberg starts to heat up, a righty. Jays have picked up 4 hits in this inning, have scored 2 runs. First and second, 1 away. Delgado at second, Phelps at first, and Kelty fouls the ball away. Kelty grounded into a double play in the second, walked and scored in the 5th, and lined out in the 6th rather, to end the inning.
These are 2 big runs in for Kelvin Escobar, who may leave the ball game. Decision may have already been made. And now he stands to be the winner.
I think he's done.
Yeah, I think because he faced that extra batter through more pitches, I think he finished the inning at 112 pitches. I don't think Carlos Tosca will send him out there to begin the 8th. Pitched a very good ball game.
1-1 comes in, and that hits Kelty. It will load the bases, but that one hurt.
Well, got him in the right wrist or right hand. There's more on the forearm. Ball right in on him. Forearm area, and yeah, that stings. Ryan trying to bust that fastball in, cut right in and caught Kelty. Let's see him tell John Gibbons, the first base coach, I'm all right.
Eric Hinsky will wait as Howie Clark comes in to pinch run for Josh Phelps. So the Jays, thinking this is their big inning, are getting a little speed on the base path.
Clark, the former Oriole, played a little bit with the Orioles last year, made his major league debut with Baltimore.
Hinsky looks at ball 1. His first career grand slam came in this ballpark. Off Travis Driscoll, July 4th. Fouls it back. Bases are loaded. 1 out. 2 runs have scored in the top of the 8th. Jays now with a 4-2 lead. Delgado at third, Clark at second, Kelty at first. Down low, 2-1. Fordyce runs through the signs. And a strike, 2-2. Interesting way that Fordyce sets up, John. He's always got a look at the batter as he throws down the sign.
Yeah, catchers will look. Not that time, right?
No. As soon as you mention it. The 2-2. Hinske fouls it back.
Catchers are always looking at the feet of a hitter. And they're also checking to make sure they're not peeking.
Well,
not looking back. And
what grabbed our attention, the way Fordyce was looking at Hinske.
I think it's more of a habit. They've done it for so many years. They'll give the signs and they'll just glance up and look at the hitter. Make sure he's looking toward the pitcher as well. Now look like he's just looking down at home plate.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Hinske fouls it away again.
You see Fordyce asking for that pitch down. That one left up out over the plate. Ryan made a bad pitch to Delgado. He was trying to throw that slider down and away, and he left it belt high or a little bit above. And Delgado broke this 2-2 tie with a base hit to left center field. And Phelps followed with an RBI single.
Hinske drives the ball center field. Matos drifts over, makes the grab. Delgado tags and will score. It is now 5-2 as Hinske brings home Carlos Delgado.
He got it deep enough. Ryan was looking for a strikeout. Hinske picks up the runner with an RBI sacrifice fly to center field. And now it's 5-2 Toronto. And now Mike Hargrove is going to go get Kerry Lightenberg, it looks like, the righty, to face Dave Berg. And perhaps we'll have a pinch hitter. Could be Orlando Hudson batting for Berg. With the Blue Jays with 3 runs here in this 8th inning and taking the lead.
So a change. Lightenberg comes running in from the bullpen. Jays now with a 5-2 lead. If you buy your Toronto Blue Jays 2004 season tickets right now, you get to go to Florida. How about that? There are certain restrictions that do apply, but you can spend spring break with all your favorite Blue Jays as you watch them prepare for the 2004 campaign. Call 416-341-1234 and order your tickets today.
There's Kerry Lightenberg, the right-hander. Good numbers. 42 strikeouts, just 14 walks.
First ball hitting is the pinch hitter, Greg Myers. Matos running in and makes the play. That's all, but the Jays do count 3 in the top of the 8th and open up a 5-2 lead.
Hi, everyone. I'm R.J. Broadhead in the Sportsnet News studio. Tune in to Sportsnet News tonight. My partner this evening will be somebody you haven't seen on this desk for quite a while. Plus, lots of stories to talk about, too. The Leafs ramp up training camp, and Darren Dreger will talk with GM John Ferguson about the state of his team. The Expos are staying put for now. We'll tell you where you can catch their games next season, and we'll preview the Women's World Cup of Soccer. That and a lot more coming up tonight on Sportsnet News.
Bottom of the 8th inning, some changes for the Blue Jays. It begins on the mound as Aquilino Lopez takes the ball for the Blue Jays in relief of Kelvin Escobar, who went 7. 3.65 ERA, 11 saves, whip of 131. Behind him, he'll have Tom Wilson taking over for Phelps at first. Second base now belongs to Orlando Hudson, who comes in replacing Dave Berg. And Bobby Kelty remains in the game. He did have his right arm looked at by the training staff of the Blue Jays between innings and said he was okay, and he's back in right field. 5 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Jays. 2 runs on 3 hits for the Orioles. And top of the order for the O's, Roberts, Hairston, and Bigby. Roberts started things off in the 2-run sixth, drawing the walk against Kelvin Escobar. Roberts intimated that he was thinking about a bunt. That had Hinske moving quickly at third. The ball was high. Comes back with a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Lopez has been working as the closer for Carlos Tosca in the last month. Coming in here in the 8th inning. He pitched 3 days ago in Detroit.
Fly ball. Left field on the run. Reed Johnson. Kelvin Escobar went 7 innings. Got up to 112 pitches. 75 for strikes.
He pitched well. Just 3 hits allowed, 3 walks and 7 strikeouts, and just the 2 runs. The 1 walk did hurt him. He walked the leadoff batter in the 6th inning, and he scored ahead of the 2-run home run by Larry Bigby. That was the one mistake that hurt him in this ball game. But boy, overall, he pitched very strong baseball.
Jerry Hairston, he gets under. A pitch and into shallow left. Reed Johnson calls off Mike Bordick. Jamie Campbell has got an update. Jamie, what's going on?
Rob, Minnesota atop the American League Central. This will help. An RBI by Shannon Stewart. That single brings home A.J. Przinsky. They're beating Detroit. Chicago and Kansas City are tied.
2 out, bottom of the 8th. Toronto leads by 3. Lopez has retired the first 2 batters on fly ball outs to left field, and Larry Bigby, who hit a 2-run blast his last trip to the plate, is now the batter.
Shannon Stewart has been having some fun, hasn't he?
Just thinking about that, you got to look at him as being a real important piece of the Minnesota puzzle.
No, he has been. He's been hitting since he left Toronto in that trade for Bobby Kelty, scoring a lot of runs right in the middle of a lot of those rallies, a lot of those runs that have scored for Minnesota. They needed a spark, someone to spark that offense, and he has provided that, and it looks like they're going to win that Central Division. They play Detroit this weekend and next weekend, and the Twins are 11-1 against Detroit this year going into tonight's play.
The 2-1 is now 3-1. Stewart with an RBI, couple of hits tonight. Heard the update from Jamie Campbell as well. So Stewart again involved.
And it looks like all the replays I see, the games he's played, there's a lot of excitement, a lot of smiles on his face, having fun. And that's what it's all about. You get to this point in the season, if you're in a thick of a pennant race, it's an awful lot of fun as you head to the ballpark every day. You look forward to playing.
2-out walk by Lopez to Bigby, and this will bring Jay Gibbons to the plate.
I think you always look forward to playing, or something's wrong. But when you're in a September in a race for the postseason, you can't wait to get to the ballpark.
Two out, man on. Gibbons looks at the first pitch for a strike. He is 1 for 3. Single in the 4th. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Kevin Cash is due up in the 9th inning for Toronto, the 9th batter in the order. So then it's the top of the order. So if a man gets on, Vernon Wells will bat again in this ballgame. He's 4 for 4.
Gibbons sends it high, left side, back for it. Eric Hinske makes it foul territory. That will strand Bigby at first. To the 9th inning, Toronto with a 5-2 lead.
Rogers Jays on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Bud Light. This calls for a Bud Light.
Ninth inning in Baltimore. Cash, Johnson, and Bordick to face Kerry Lightenberg, who did the job getting a fly ball from Greg Myers to end the 3-run eighth. Cash fouls a pitch back. 0-2 very quickly.
Jays need a base runner to bring that man to the plate in this inning.
Another shot at a million.
Nora needs a base runner, right? Don't go away, Nora. He may bat.
Well, they just announced that yesterday's game between the Orioles and Yankees will be replayed in New York Friday, the 26th, as part of the twilight doubleheader. So apparently they feel they need that game. 1-2. Kevin Cash with a ground ball. In the hole, through the throw in time.
Well, I think that the East will be decided by that time. I think the Yankees are going to win the American League East. But what's significant about that game, and again, the Orioles, after this series, they play Boston at Fenway Park, and then they travel to Yankee Stadium to finish the season. So they may have a little say in that wild card, perhaps, but also the best record in the American League. The Yankees would like to have the best record. Therefore, if they meet, let's say, the Oakland A's in the postseason, they would have home field advantage. Right now, the Yankees with 94 wins, the A's with 92. So that certainly could be a factor.
Johnson tried to throw down a bunt, goes foul, 0-2 the count.
The Yankees were quite upset that they played that game. George Steinbrenner had some unkind words to say about the Orioles for trying to get that game in yesterday afternoon.
High fastball. Johnson swings and misses. First strikeout for Lightenberg. And 2 down in the ninth. Mike Bordick, the batter.
No, Mike Bordick's going to have to get on if Wells is going to have a chance to hit for the cycle. Needs a home run. He's 4 for 4, a couple of singles, a double, and a triple.
Bordick takes high. And you mentioned the Yankees being upset. Yankees were offered a doubleheader on Wednesday to make sure they got the 2 games in so they could travel and get out of town before the hurricane kind of slipped in. Bordick takes a strike, 1-1. They turned down the doubleheader because they did not want Mike Mussina to pitch on 3 days rest.
So they started Mike Mussina yesterday. He's got 18 wins. He pitched well, a 1-1 tie after 5 innings.
Bordick, strike 2. In fact, one of the other reasons is Mussina's at 199 career wins.
Well, he's going to get his 200th, yes, but he's only got 1 more start remaining in the season, unless they pitch him in that final Sunday of the season. But they want him ready for the postseason.
The 1-2. They appeal no, says first base umpire Randy Marsh.
You know, the bottom line is if the Yankees won that game yesterday and Mussina won his 19th game, say it was 1-0 or 2-1, the Yankees would have been commending the Orioles for getting that game in it like they did, right?
Exactly.
It's just the New York Yankees.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Top of the ninth. Jays lead by 3. Bordick grounds that ball. Foul. Says third base umpire Paul Schreiber. Quick call.
Lightenberg, part of that Atlanta Braves bullpen for a number of years.
They thought he was really the solution, too, a couple of years ago. Remember, that was always Atlanta's problem, that they couldn't find a closer?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they certainly found one.
Yeah, now the question is whether John Smoltz is going to be able to pitch in the postseason.
Exactly.
Has been out with that elbow stiffness and soreness, and he's going to test that elbow. I guess he had a rehab assignment yesterday.
2-2. That's all for the Blue Jays. No opportunity for Nora right now as the Jays go to the bottom of the ninth with a 3-run lead. Bottom of the ninth inning, Camden Yards, Baltimore, Maryland. Jays lead by 3. Batista, Surhoff, and Matos scheduled to face Aquilino Lopez.
And this is a safe situation. Lopez came on to begin the 8th inning. 5-2 at that time. Escobar stands to be the winner if Lopez is able to nail down the save.
Tony Batista takes a strike. He's 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Getting under it, Batista into center field. Vernon Wells makes the out. 1 down, bottom of the 9th. This broadcast is presented by the authority of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club and may not be rebroadcast or otherwise copied or used in any form without the express written consent of the Toronto Blue Jays Baseball Club and Rogers Sportsnet. B.J. Circa 0 for 3, a couple of groundouts and a strikeout. And a strike.
Lopez picked up his 11th save of the year 7 nights ago against Baltimore up in Toronto. He's 11 for 13 in save situations this year.
Ground ball right side. Hudson to Wilson, 2 down. Last kick at it is Luis Matos, but he's 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Matos looks at ball 1.
And with this appearance tonight, Lopez is now just 1 appearance short of matching the club rookie record held by Mark Eichhorn. Back in 1986, Eich had 69 relief appearances for the Blue Jays.
Not over yet. A 2-out base hit by Luis Matos.
Just reached out and slapped that line drive into center field.
Davy Cruz will be the batter. He's 1 for 2, singled in the 3rd, walked in the 7th.
You have 3 right-handed batters at the bottom of the order. They're in that order against Escobar. It's a good situation for Lopez. His best pitch is that very good slider that he works down and away to right-handed batters.
Cruz takes a strike, 1-1.
Mike Hargrove has a few choices on the bench, but a couple of them are rookies. Raines Jr. and Morban, and Pedro Swan is a left-handed batter, as is Jack Cusk.
Oh, he chased a high one. Fastball up in the zone. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Now, a couple of choices now. I think Lopez could go back upstairs or use that slider.
2 out, man on first, bottom of the 9th. The 1-2. Up high again.
Now, he went with the fastball, trying to hit the outside corner, overthrew it. I think you get the slider now.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
See if they throw 3. Yeah, that's the slider. Let's see if he shakes it off. No, it's going to be the slider.
The 2-2. Fly ball center field. Vernon Wells is there. The Blue Jays win. Wells with a 4-hit night. Aquilino Lopez gets his 12th save of the season. Kelvin Escobar gets his 12th victory.
Escobar gave them a very strong start, kept the team in the ballgame the whole way. 7 innings, allowed just 2 runs, a 2-run home run to Larry Bigby, and a big night once again for Vernon Wells. 4 for 4 with a triple and 2 runs scored, and the Blue Jays take the first game of this 3-game series here in Baltimore.
Jays are now 13-4 in September. They've won 4 in a row.